Okay, guys, so welcome to another episode of Let's Think About It. Today we have a very special guest that we told you about last week. So if you watched last week's episode, you would know. So welcoming Amrita. She's
Hello.
our preferred notary.
Thank
We've
you.
been working with her for a very long time now. And why don't you introduce yourself briefly?
Okay, so my name is Amrita Grewal. I am a notary public in Surrey. My office is in Sullivan Heights area, across the street from Bell Performing Arts. I've been a notary for 8 years. I'm going into my 8th year, but I've been in this legal field for 21 years.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes,
good to know.
yeah.
She did tell you this, I think in December, but
Oh,
you
yeah?
forgot.
That's okay.
But that's okay.
That was a different setup, right?
That
That's
was a
okay.
different
Yeah.
setup,
That's okay.
yeah. I worked for a lawyer in Richmond. I was his real estate and corporate paralegal. So I couldn't work for someone else but him.
Right.
So I decided to start on my own, and he was my
Oh, that
mentor.
was the gentleman that we met there
Yes,
as well.
yes,
right.
yes, yeah.
And I guess he's been in the industry for
Yeah,
30,
so
35 years?
Almost 40 plus years.
there you
So
go.
he's now retired, and he does more into real estate developments and
Right.
stuff.
Nice.
Of course.
Yeah, of
Everyone
course.
said- but that's the biggest bread
Yeah.
and butter in Vancouver.
Yeah.
That's it,
100%.
yeah.
Biggest industry where you
Is-
make the
yeah.
most amount of money anyways.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Something I want to share with you when we didn't work with you.
Yeah.
You obviously had a very good brand name,
Yeah.
but nobody knew you as who is really Amrita, right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So it was
yeah.
very like when I first time met you for
Yeah.
a closing, I think it was our own deal.
Yeah, yeah.
It was very humbling because you've been
Yeah.
in the business for so long and the way
Yeah.
you take care of our clients. And
Yeah.
sometimes, so when I compare people, so
Yeah.
wherever we were sending the files before, apparently, first time buyers, for example,
Yeah.
Right.
they don't know
Yeah.
anything what they're signing.
Yeah.
So I've always
Yeah.
gotten really good feedback that you
Yeah.
walk them through
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
So that being said, first question I have for you is what's really a role of a notary in a real estate transaction? A lot of people understand this part. Okay, you hire a realtor, you hire a mortgage broker, and the deal is
Right.
done.
Just break down the process, what you do on your end, right?
For sure. So you guys are the initiators,
Right.
right? You start the process,
Right.
right? Clients come to you. Then, before subjects are being removed, a broker is involved.
Correct.
Right.
But once the subjects are removed, the deposit is paid, completion has to occur.
Yes.
Right.
That's where the lawyers and notaries come in.
Right.
Okay, so a real estate lawyer and a notary public have pretty much the exact same role. We'll do
Yes.
the exactly same procedure. We do everything exactly what a lawyer or a notary does.
Right.
Our job is basically to make sure the title is transferred to the new buyers,
Right.
and the seller's mortgage is removed from title,
Correct.
and the new mortgage, if the buyer is getting a mortgage, kicks in.
Right.
So as per the contract, we want to give the buyer free and clear title.
Yes.
And that procedure is done through us
Right.
from both sides, from the seller's side and from the buyer's side.
Correct.
So that's where we have to make sure, and all the adjustments are done, the taxes are paid.
Right.
Yeah.
So in terms of in a brief way, what's
Yeah.
the difference? Like what can a lawyer can he do differently, or is the same exact process for both?
So it's a tricky question. Like
Right.
a lawyer can do exactly what a notary does. However, we cannot do anything that's contentious.
So you can
right, so-
represent or can
Yeah.
advise anything
Yeah.
in terms of.
So say if and I don't think so. A lot of or not all not every lawyers are litigators.
right,
Correct.
right.
Right. So real estate lawyer is not going to go to court
Yes.
to
Correct.
fight this case. He's going to refer to a litigation lawyer.
lawyer, which
And
is a
I
lot of
would
people
do
don't
the same
understand
thing
that.
too.
Yeah.
Right. The only restriction as notaries we have is we can't give. There is some corporate stuff we can do.
Right.
Like I do corporations as well, but we don't do share purchase agreements.
Gotcha.
Right. So if a big company is buying. Instead of the real estate, the shares of the company
Getting moved.
to
Right,
save
right, right,
property
right.
transfer tax,
Right.
I can't do that.
Right.
I will refer to
That
a
makes
real
sense.
estate lawyer. We
Got
can do so. Corporations are a bit of an issue.
Tedious, right?
Yeah, but overall the business is pretty much exactly the same. So
Fundamentals
for
are
me,
the
I know
same.
this stuff because I was a corporate
So you know the
paralegal
difference
as well.
in terms
Yeah,
of. Right,
yeah.
right.
So yeah,
Perfect. That's it helps a lot of people understand
Yeah.
your role.
yeah,
What would you say, like similar conversation for realtors
Yeah.
as well? Somebody that's maybe just brand new as a
Yeah.
notary,
yeah.
or somebody that has experience,
Yeah.
right? How does it make a difference going to somebody that's more experienced?
See, it's I feel everyone should be given a chance.
Yes.
Right. But for me, I take a lot of pride in my work because I love what I do. I'm very passionate about what I do.
Right. We can tell that. It's actually from...
Like for me, I love doing this. I love waking up in the morning.
You saved one of our clients once too because you read the contract a week before closing. There was like a lien or something.
Yes,
which was not in the contract. Somebody else made the contract. I was a part of it. So that's something not everybody
will. So it wasn't your fault.
I didn't make the contract.
Oh,
yeah.
I was one of the agents one of the agents that we don't work with anymore.
Yeah. And also a lot of times what happens is like, you know, like I just got a deal. I was reviewing the title search.
Yeah.
Right.
Everything was fine. Today I did a title search. The couple are splitting. So there's certificate of pending litigation.
Right.
Now my file is complicated.
Right.
I have to contact their family lawyers. I have to get the CPL release letters.
So I'm guessing a few times you might hinder that sometimes if you're going to a non-experienced person.
Exactly.
They might not see the title
They
again.
might not see, or the procedure that comes with it.
Right.
So I've had an amazing opportunity to mentor 2 notaries,
Which is awesome.
So one of the notaries was with me as a staff notary. I can see a huge change in her work. Like she will answer. She'll be like, yeah, this is what we're doing.
Example and
for me, this job is like real estate industry is growing.
Right.
It's law at the end of the day. Law changes every
all
day.
the time.
So you have to educate yourself.
100%.
And personally for me, I always used to think like when you're a first time home buyer, you're so nervous.
Oh yeah.
And you have that paranoia.
Yeah.
I will look at them.
You can sense that.
I can sense it. So for me, your biggest asset after your health is your real estate.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Your home, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And sometimes the reason to go to the hospital is
your home.
the stress,
right?
So if I can try my level best to start that procedure that, hey, this is what we are going to do. I'm going to give you 30 to 45 minutes of my time. I'll answer all your questions. And if you still have questions, talk to me.
Right.
And fortunately, by the end of it, they are like, yeah, we're done.
That's experience people don't get majority of times.
Yeah.
So
I have a new name for your brand now.
Yeah.
Sixth Sense Notaries. If you ever want to maybe open up a different brand name, you know. But no, that's pretty good to know because a lot of people oversee that.
Yes,
Right? So it's important to understand that your role is not just doing the completion, but explaining people what they're signing.
Yeah,
right?
and also like property taxes.
Yes.
Right.
Property tax is for the whole year.
Yeah.
But it's due in July.
Right.
A lot of times clients will be like, oh, why are we paying the tax?
Right.
Because you got your credit beginning of the year
right.
when the purchase was done. Right. So for them calling me again, I have no problem. I'll explain it. Sometimes I'm like, did I miss something?
Yeah.
This is a stressful job because all the liabilities on it. I'm like, oh, did I miss anything? But no, it's fine. I just go back and I explain it. I'm like, hey,
this is what
because
it is.
I think
it's too much information too for clients.
I think the main difference is I think when you're in the position to, I think a lot of people are scared of explaining stuff because like, oh, once it's signed, I don't want to be liable for it. So a lot of times when you have questions, people just don't want to answer them for some reason.
Exactly.
So when our clients do, when they call us like, hey, did we do this?
Yeah.
Sometimes what happens is like one of our new agents, right? He'll be like, oh, the deal is done. Right? So I'm like, no, we still got to go back and explain it. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's what makes you guys different too. Right.
Yeah, you're always supposed to service the people that you work with. Doesn't matter the deal.
We're in service business after all, right?
Yeah.
So if you sell something once and you don't give the experience that they're expecting, you're not coming back.
Yeah.
And that's you leave a bad taste.
You leave a bad taste.
Our agent didn't explain us anything.
And also there's I can't please everyone too. I've accepted that as well.
It is fine.
Right?
It's
There's some things I pick and choose, but I do get upset when like I'm like, I did, what did I do?
That's because you're a good person and you don't want people getting hurt.
I want constructive criticism too,
right?
Constructive feedback.
Like where you can make it better.
How can I
make yourself
better? Right? So and that's how my staff has been trained too. Like
they're very nice. I think I actually called your staff member when I was requesting you for this podcast. She's like, oh, this is my direct line. Can you just call her? I'm like, yeah, I have her number. I'll call her.
Yeah.
So they're super cool.
Yeah, they're super cool. Yeah.
Easy to deal with.
Yeah.
How's business from the last 2-3 years since the market obviously taken a turn since 2021?
Yeah, well, business was busy.
Right.
Like for me, I was based out in Richmond because I office shared with my old boss when I started, and my family was growing. My daughter was born, so I wanted
Right.
to be close to home.
Right.
So I decided to open up in Surrey.
Surrey.
And
You have a really good location though. That location is
Yeah.
very central.
Yeah,
So
yeah. But when I started, I had like nothing.
Right,
so I
Right.
just
We actually used to live in the complex behind when the strata was just getting built. The
built.
commercial
Oh,
one.
okay.
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
okay. Nice. That's a good complex too. Yeah.
It was, yeah. We
yeah.
lived there, I think, for 2, maybe 3 years.
3 years. Okay.
And thanks
yeah.
to that complex, we got a pretty good return on that.
Yeah.
So it was good timing.
Good
Yeah.
timing. Yeah.
No, but the area itself now, I think a lot of are there more notaries in that area?
No,
or?
no.
You're the
So
only
I
notary.
have I have a restrictive covenant
Nice.
within that complex.
Nice, nice.
But yeah, so when I was shopping around, I didn't want to be in different areas. I
Correct.
wanted to be exclusive.
I think Sullivan does take a very good chunk of a lot of people which are
yeah.
diverse, right?
Yeah,
so it puts you in a
exactly.
very good demographic.
Yeah,
for sure.
and people know
right,
that there's a notary in this neighborhood because Popeyes is there.
right.
You know?
Easy to tell them.
It's actually
right
good
across.
food places.
Yeah.
Popeyes.
I had clients.
Have you gone to that new place, the Egg Chai something that just opened up?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
How is it? Is it?
It's okay. Yeah.
I'm not a cha person at all.
You know, I
so-
like my own Indian tea. I
Yeah.
make pretty good Indian tea, so I don't want to pay $10
remember
for
the-
tea. Sorry, egg chai.
Yeah. No, it's good. I think
Yeah.
my wife went there today with my mom, and
Yeah.
they had a good time there. It's just
Yeah.
one of those things that's new.
It's
Everybody's
new.
talking
People
about it.
are
so
Everything
trying
new
it.
is
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
Everything new
yeah.
is good.
Their sandwiches are good. They're so that's not
So you have
bad.
checked them out.
I've checked it out. I always promote my local business.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
I think
That's
I have
awesome.
to do that.
Her
yeah.
office right there, so she's like,
Yeah.
if you get there, then you can come to me next
Yeah.
time.
Yeah,
Anything,
yeah.
right? So
Exactly.
It's easier to sell.
Yeah, there was a
Exactly.
cake place, so I did their closing.
There you go.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, I'm giving you too much cake
There you go.
business, so you can have that. Yeah.
Good. So
Yeah.
you just talked about family. So I want to ask
Yeah.
you, as like as business owner and
Mhm.
entrepreneur, how's your journey been so far, and how do you juggle family time, work? Because you're probably working every day, no?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how's
yeah.
the work-life balance?
So for me, my kids are 10 and turning 7 in
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Right.
So they're quite a handful.
Yeah.
So they come to my office twice a week after school.
Nice. Okay.
And Mondays and Thursdays I do half day.
Gotcha.
Right.
My
Okay,
husband
so
is not off on
that's the
Mondays.
work balance.
Yeah. So I have to take out time. There, talking about 2-3 years ago, I was very busy,
Right.
Right.
and I was so busy, and I built everything at that time. But I
Exactly.
do feel like my kids were.
I think that's a sacrifice. I think majority
Yeah.
of people.
I feel like that too. If I'm at
Yeah.
work too long on
Yeah.
an even daily basis, I
Yeah.
feel guilty.
Yeah,
That I'm
same.
not giving
Yeah,
enough
it's
time
a
to my
mom. It's a
daughter.
parent's
You go
guilt,
home at
right?
1:30 p.m. sometimes
every day,
and don't
man.
come back till 3:30. What do you
Not
feel
every
guilty
day.
about?
Not every day.
You know what this guy used to do in the beginning
Yeah.
years when my
Yeah.
niece was born? She's like probably like 1, maybe 1.5,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
One day I'm like, we were supposed to go somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm like, where are you? He's like,
Yeah.
oh, Amaya
Yeah.
made me late.
Yeah.
I'm like, Amaya's at home. I'm like, I'm seeing her right now. She's in front of me.
But no, I'm very thankful I had
Yeah.
Kabir's support, so I
Yeah.
was actually able to spend a lot of time with her
Yeah.
when she was a toddler. Even
Toddler,
now, I
yeah.
spend a lot of time with her. That's
Yeah.
like my favorite thing to do.
Yeah, of
Look
course.
forward to
yeah.
it. But when
yeah.
I get home within 10 minutes, like, I need to go back to work.
Oh my God,
You're
yeah.
yelling at me. You're shouting. Why did I come home?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
One
My
of those
kids
things.
are in that phase. They just want to be with their friends.
Yeah.
Right, right,
Either they're
right.
playing
they're at that
outside
age.
or they're on their video games.
Right.
Right.
So I have we have dinner. We have to have it together. Gadgets down.
Nice.
And then we watch Modern Family together.
Good.
Sometimes a little too much,
Nice,
too much
nice.
information
Yeah.
in
TMI.
that show. But
TMI.
I'm like, that's
And
my time
their
to
IQ,
snuggle
these
them.
kids, it's something else.
It is
Oh, yeah.
something
Something
else.
else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
Just
pick up
Very
things
fast.
so fast.
Very fast.
So fast,
Me and
yeah.
my wife had the argument the other
Yeah.
day. It was just regular argument, husband,
Yeah,
wife, family
yeah.
argument. She tells my mom that,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
mom and dad were yelling at each other
Yeah,
today.
yeah.
And she's telling her like a story,
Yeah.
you know?
She's
Yeah.
they're actually gossiping. Mom's like, oh, what happened? she's like, let me tell you.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And she
that's
makes
they,
up,
they
like,
tell everything.
stories, so
yeah,
gotta be careful
Yeah,
around
it.
they
Yeah.
tell everything. My
Yeah.
kids tell everything to my mom.
And she-
Nani, that's
Exactly.
what mommy and daddy do. They never call. They're always
And she
shouting.
picks up on bad words
I
now.
was like, oh,
So
I
when
swear a lot,
He
so-
does
Oh,
swear a
yeah,
lot.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
surprised so far, 20 minutes in.
Fuckity
Yeah.
fuck. Here you go, man.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
Whenever she's around, Amaya's around, she would look
Yeah.
at
Bad
him,
word.
like bad words.
She
Bad
does this
word.
to me. She's like,
yeah.
I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
bad, my bad.
Yeah, my kids will say language.
Oh yeah, good.
Yeah, because I say it to them.
Yeah.
But I also have told them that these are adult words.
Right.
Right.
It will come out sometimes,
Yeah.
right?
That's
like,
a good way to do this.
Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
these are adult
I'm
words.
gonna go
so
home and do
yeah,
this today.
yeah.
It's a grown-up word.
Yeah, this is a
You can't
grown-up
use it today.
word.
No,
Yeah.
balance is definitely something. I think everyone, you can't have all the balance. Obviously,
Yeah.
it gets disrupted in terms of the amount of busy and work it is.
Yeah.
But when the market was busy, were you also saying no to business too? Were you guys like busy to the point?
So unfortunately, at that time, my mom was diagnosed with cancer.
Oh shoot! Okay.
So for me, my mom used to look after my kids twice a week. So
Right.
then I had to find some help,
Makes
and
sense.
that was one of the best decisions. So I have I have a nanny who comes 3 days a
Caretaker.
week.
That's
Right.
good.
So I have her support, so that really helps. But I was also helping my mom at that time.
Of course, yeah,
right?
sensitive
So
time,
it was at that time I was saying no,
Yeah.
but
Right.
for me, work was my escape.
Right.
So when my mom would be sleeping, if someone would call me, like you guys would call me, I think I was dealing with you guys
Yeah, yeah.
2021.
I think we started in
22.
2020.
Yeah, so I would just take, there were some clients of mine who have become very good friends. I would not say no. I would be like, you know what? Because I would be awake pretty much looking
There's
after
so
my
much
mom.
that goes
Right.
behind it.
Yeah,
And we had
and
no
then
idea
I-
you were dealing with this back
Right.
then.
Yeah. But it also made me stronger at that time.
Thank you for taking all
Yeah,
those calls
yeah.
back then.
No,
and
no,
even
all
now.
good.
My
Yeah,
first
yeah.
interaction with her, Chaitanya actually referred me. right? So
Yeah.
I left the office. I'm like, I learned more than I should have. I didn't know half the stuff that happens during completion. So
Exactly.
Yeah,
So, no,
basically, it's a crash course on
Right.
I know.
on
So
real
one
estate,
sitting
basically.
itself will
Yeah.
teach you
right.
more than what you would learn throughout the process
exactly.
anyways,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So now what's the vision? Because I know you guys expanded a little bit in terms of like there's more people that work with you now.
There are more people. I had a staff notary. She
Right.
actually started on her own.
Kamal?
Kamal.
Yeah, I think she did one of my closings as well.
She did, yeah. And so Cam did, and then I had another, actually she was one of my first assistants who basically wanted to get into the notary program.
Nice.
So she has her own place
That's
in
awesome.
Delta.
How do you become a notary? Like how long is the...
Good question.
Yeah, so when I started, I applied in 2014.
Okay.
I had my kit, my application and a pregnancy kit on the other hand, and I found out I was pregnant. I was like, there goes my dream. so I had so back then it was slightly different. They really saw your experience. You have to have an undergrad degree.
Gotcha.
I grew up in India, so my
same.
undergrad was in history honors from Delhi University.
Right.
And then I came here, I had a paralegal certificate and I had a diploma in legal assistant
There's some
program.
prereqs you have to have.
Right.
So so your GPA has to be 3.0, which I had. And the
It's tough
next
for us.
thing...
We're pretty stupid, both of us.
Yeah.
You're the bright one.
For me, I think my GPA back in India was pretty low.
Right.
I did not like the structure in
But
education.
you know,
I
it's
never
different.
enjoyed
Going
it.
is different.
Yeah.
there, because I did my grade 10, 11 from there.
Yeah.
And what I did in university level here was same as what they taught you in grade 10, 11 there.
Intensity is
Exactly.
very high.
So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah. So
it's-
it was like something interesting to me that the pressure they put you through or the information they expose you to.
Expose you to.
But there's more potential for your like education here. Like how ironic is that? Like amount of education that you have, but you don't get as
more
much
practical
there, right? So
here than
more
there.
practical,
It's more hands-on,
more
right? So,
hands-on.
yeah.
Yeah.
But then there's
yeah.
still a reason why most of the CEOs around the world are from
Exactly.
but they
Outside of the
also practice that outside of the world.
Correct.
So-
Best of both worlds.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, so you have to do a master's degree
Right.
from SFU. But right now, the big change, because there's
so many applications, I guess.
applications. So during my time, there were 1,000 applicants who applied.
Right.
Around 32 were selected.
Okay.
And
Out of
24
1,000.
graduated.
Oh wow.
Oh wow.
In my cohort,
That's tough.
around that.
Yeah.
So like when people sometimes are like, oh, notary te sab ban jande ne,
it's
stamp
not
te
easy.
seal hi pana hai.
It's not
It
easy.
is a process.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so sometimes like, oh, so much money for stamp, and I was like, yeah,
The stamp
you
is
have
valuable.
no idea how much
What
blood
goes
and
behind
sweat
it. It's
went
very
into
valuable,
this.
right,
Yeah,
what goes
yeah.
behind it.
It's the
so-
same thing as like the theory of a plumber. Like they will
Exactly.
come fix the pipe. It might take
Yeah.
them 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
And he can charge you $100.
100
and you can
bucks,
get a shitty plumber who will do the same thing in 2 hours.
2 hours, yeah.
Right, so it just depends on the
it's
experience.
just
Same theory
depends.
is why somebody should list their home with you
That's
at
right.
604-3557.
Exactly, exactly.
And not anybody else,
100%,
because you have years of experience
100%,
behind
yeah.
it, right?
I was just gonna say,
yeah.
you know how you said like the people say like everyone can become a notary.
Yeah.
Have you
Every-
seen a big change of a lot of people being like influenced by your role and getting into the business without any knowledge or anything?
Yes, a lot of my clients have applied too.
Right.
So they
It happens with us
asked-
too.
Yeah,
We
so,
do 2-3 deals with a client. How do
Yeah.
we get our license now?
Yeah,
So
yeah. So
it
there
happens,
is
nature.
mentoring, and
Right.
I, for me, I'm one of those people. Like I love
Open
people
book.
around me to
Yeah,
grow.
you want everybody to grow.
I want
That's
I
good
surround
attitude.
That's the way to go.
myself
Good
with that
attitude.
kind of crowd.
Right.
Because for me, I want everyone to be
There's
happy
so much
and successful.
business. Like,
so
it's
much
like
business.
People
right?
think
Mindset.
there's
Yeah.
not, but
It's
like
just
Yeah.
mindset.
yeah, there's
It's
so
just-
much to
Yeah,
do, right?
so much to
yeah.
do, and like sometimes people will like, oh, you're calling other notaries at your event and stuff. I'm like, I'm not insecure,
Exactly.
right? And even if someone does take it,
Right.
it's fine.
Right.
Yeah.
I will. It
There's plenty
doesn't
of
break
business
my
for everybody,
bank
yeah.
at
Right.
all, right?
It's
But,
just one of
yeah.
those things where I think it's just people with that narrow mindset is
Yeah.
they would think
Yeah.
of it like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
And I mentor realtors too, and Kabir does too
Yeah.
now. And people ask us like, aren't you like worried about them taking away your business?
Mm-hmm.
And I tell them like, it would make me happier if somebody that I'm training or coaching
Yeah.
takes away business
Takes
from
away
me.
business
That means
from
I'm
me.
doing something right with what I'm
yeah.
teaching
That's the
them.
whole
Yeah.
point. Yeah.
That's
Exactly.
the whole point. Yeah.
So
yeah.
there's it's like same thing. And I remember this one story when I was doing my course for real estate.
Yeah.
Somebody told me like, this is like 2016, 2015.
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody's becoming a realtor. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
everybody's becoming a doctor as well,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
It's
Yeah.
just a
Everybody's
mindset.
becoming everything.
Everything. Yeah.
So this is
yeah.
where you want to put your
Everyone
focus.
is an influencer these days.
Oh yeah,
you know?
tell me about
But
it.
like, do I watch every influencer? I'll follow one or two.
Exactly.
Right?
It's a selective. Yeah. You're very
So-
selective on where you want to see.
Or
Right?
what-
Yeah.
yeah.
Someone
People
asked
to
me,
connect
why did you
with.
become a realtor? I'm like, I couldn't become anything else. Like, I like selling. I like sales. So
Yeah,
it kind of
yeah.
worked out
And for me, I didn't do anything else.
Right.
I was always
naturally
that's
attracted.
all I have done.
Right.
And then I
Yeah.
think when you, it could be just my mentality. I think when you're not good at a lot of things, and when you find that one thing which you're actually
You're
good
passionate
at,
about.
you're so passionate
Yeah,
about it.
yeah,
Then you
yeah.
604-3557 is the one.
Yeah.
Right.
What is that? Your phone
It's my
number?
phone number.
Oh, okay.
So it's
He
my,
just slides it in. So this time
so
I just
anytime
initiated
someone
it.
talks
So
about real
do
estate,
it-
so I just like boom,
Boom,
604-355.
yeah.
Yeah. So free promotion. Right.
That's good.
But
yeah, that's good.
another question that I have for you, as a female in the industry, there's a lot of like, speculation that this is like a male-dominant industry, even for realtors. But there's some very successful female realtors as well. Was it a challenge for you to like get a major share of these other notaries when you were brand new? Obviously, you have a brand now.
Yeah.
But how was the journey from when you just opened your doors, nobody knew about you,
Right.
and now?
Yeah, it wasn't like it's always the glass ceiling in
Right.
Yeah.
some ways, right? For me, even now, if men do get intimidated.
Yeah.
A woman telling them what to do,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
to sign,
Which is where I
right?
was going with this.
Yeah. But I feel for me, I just kind of read the room.
Right.
Right.
What kind of person and I also switch myself
Sixth
like
sense
that.
always.
Sixth sense. I when I'm with first time home buyers, when I
Your approach is different.
My approach is different. When I'm with, my Richmond clients who
Right.
I've inherited from my old boss,
Right.
I know they're very sophisticated.
Correct.
They know
West
the-
Side clients, they know where to sign. They're like, I'm ready, just make a sign.
Yeah.
Right.
Stuff, right? But then there are also some clients who are narrow-minded,
Right.
right? Who cannot see a woman being successful.
Right, exactly.
Right? Because
Yes.
they're
Is how they were raised.
they
and
were raised.
It's just how their mindsets
and
are.
for me, sometimes it's a little depressing.
Yeah.
But also because I have a daughter.
Right.
And I would never want my son to have that kind of attitude. He sees
Correct.
the mom,
Yeah.
he tells her, he's like, my mom is the boss, babe,
Right.
at home
That's
and at
wonderful.
work,
That's-
right?
that's
He's
awesome.
like, my dad thinks, he's the boss at house, but no, my mom is the boss, right?
Oh, yeah.
But for me, I just changed that attitude as well.
I think that's also
the
a
approach
good-
has to be different, right?
A lot of people are very, like you get very offended by these things. But I think
Yeah.
when you adapt to the role
Yeah.
and where you're sitting,
yeah.
and when you can make changes accordingly, it makes you
Yeah.
a better person, in my
At the
opinion.
end of the day, I'm gonna meet them,
Right.
maybe meet them again.
And you'll see them if
and-
they're high ticket people, they're
Yeah.
gonna be in the industry anyways,
Yeah,
right?
they
So,
will be. So for me, it's just sometimes. But what I always do is when I sign paperwork and it's first time, I always give the wife the paperwork
Right.
because I always say that you're the woman of the house.
Yes.
You'll make the home.
I
right?
learned that from
So,
somebody else
yeah,
as well.
yeah.
They just said that whenever you're signing paperwork for even signing to your clients, if it's a couple, wife first, then
Yeah,
husband's
yeah,
initials.
yeah.
Happy wife,
Yeah.
happy
Yeah,
life.
yeah. But also there are times when the wife will be sitting next to me. They'll pass the husband will grab it and sign it
on their behalf.
It just and then sometimes I'll be like, just to save time, maybe you sign first.
Right.
Like seriously, like just to see, like, oh my God, like it's okay. This is 2025.
Exactly.
Right. It still exists to a very high degree, right?
Yeah.
So obviously people who are in the field, they would know it in a different manner, right?
It's sad. But I think what I'm picking up from you is you have a lot of humility, which is why you're able to work around it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, thank
so
you.
it just comes from that attitude again. Like you're able to understand both perspectives. And you still respect it even though it makes you upset.
Yeah.
So that's...
it's not something I can be friends with that person.
Right.
But he is my client.
Exactly.
I don't have to be friends with them. But yes, I understand where you're coming. And hopefully living in this part of the world can change your attitude, right? So, yeah. But
that was one thing that I wanted to ask you, and you, I think, nailed it with your response. It's just humility, which is, I think, what makes you very different.
Yeah.
And you want to share any funny stories?
Funny and actually scary stories in terms of like what was the worst.
We always do this one
closing.
section. And
worst closing and the best closing.
Yeah.
Okay. My worst closing was I did a leasehold property. I was very new.
That just sounds complicated.
Right. It was,
Bad
one of
rentals,
those Suns Creek ones. Or something.
I think I've heard of it. I've never done a leasehold myself, so
I'm quite a bit of an expert now.
I know you're a pro because I'm cutting you off. You recollect your thoughts. I referred you a client once for something in Chilliwack, and they went through like I think 5 different notaries.
Yeah.
And they were so thankful that I connected her with you.
Oh, I think it was one of the Tiachin.
Yes.
Right?
And they were super they're like how we were explained everything, and it's just something that we weren't expecting.
Those are a big stack of lease documents too.
Yes.
So
even the assignment completion, the decorative allowance.
You do too many assignments, man.
Yeah, no. So I told her, she's like, just write this. I'll take care of the rest. I'm like, all right, sounds good.
Because it should be in the contract at the end of the day.
If it's not in writing,
it's
not
in the contract.
I think if someone else, like in terms of like the notaries other people have used as well, because sometimes our clients have preferred notaries, and they will ask us questions. I'm like, phone karo.
We don't know how to fix that. Absolutely.
Which is why we like you, because you handle it.
Thank you.
Okay, back to the story now.
Okay, so this was, I was new, and it was 2019 February. Just because I have trauma from that a little bit.
So you remember it so well. Yeah.
It's actually 5-year anniversary then. 6-year anniversary of that file.
6 years anniversary, and I was a people pleaser, mortgage and realtor has to be in the pleaser. So I went to their house. They made me wait. The client wasn't there, so I had to sit at someone's house for 40 minutes.
That's the worst.
Right? That's bad.
My daughter was only 1 year old, right? So I'm just like, okay, waiting. So it was 7 o'clock, and explained everything. So when there's a leasehold, apparently the operating expenses for 2018 come in 2019.
Okay.
Nobody advised me of that. The landlord for the lease didn't advise me on that. So fast forward 4 months later, I am now kind of moved into this place. My office is being built.
Right.
And I get this call from this person, and he was, traditional Punjabi guy.
Yeah.
Right.
And so he called me, and he's like, oh, did you do the holdback in Punjabi? I was like, what holdback? I was like, nothing was in the contract. So
right.
I was like, I'm sorry, no.
Yeah.
And then he was very upset. So then his realtor called me. He's like, there should have been. I'm like, there's nothing in the contract.
Yeah, if it's not in writing,
if it's not in writing, I'm like, it's like a special levy, right?
And you're probably thinking that 1 hour I had to wait, I should have just left.
Honestly, and now I'm just sitting here, and I think I charged $700 with a mobile visit, right? So now I'm freaking out. I remember I didn't sleep that night. My heart was, and my husband was like, it's okay, we have kids, don't die on us, right?
Just calm down.
He's like, it's calm down. And I was like, okay. So I called the Notary Society. I sent them the whole file just in case there's a claim against me. So they said, you did everything perfectly. It's fine. So now somehow from Richmond, people could see my office was in Surrey. So he calls me. Now this is like July, August, and I'm opening slowly. And this guy comes in, and on the phone, he's like, Tanu meri hai lagegi.
Oh my God.
All that stuff. And he's like, my gurdwara jaake tadi hai laganga. So it was $4,000. I was like, maybe I should just pay half of it.
Right.
So that's when I called my lawyer.
That's what
and he's like, no.
Came down to,
He's like, no.
Yeah.
He's like, you need to stick to your guns. You did not do anything wrong.
That makes a big difference.
Yeah.
When you know you're not, when you're also right, but when you cave in, then other person thinks like, see, I was right.
Exactly. So then he came to my office and he's like, you spelt my name wrong. And I was like, no, I didn't. You initialed it. Look at your ID. He's like, oh, I updated my ID. I said, you have to go to the land title office. And then he said to me, agar tusi kudi na hunde, main tanu ithe gaad dena si.
Oh,
and that's a very...
That's intense.
That's
no,
very
that's
aggressive.
Yeah.
And I work out too, so I can, and I was like,
That's bad.
I would have watched you,
That's
but
what's
I was
upsetting,
scared.
that people intimidate
That is
you.
definitely-
Like, once he left, I broke down. I called my husband, and now he was like, okay, you keep that baseball bat. We got cameras. And I called him after. I said, you come to my office again. There will be a restraining order against you.
No, see, that's the thing which is very, very upsetting to the point where, like, you know, like as a human being,
called him to a parking lot.
Yeah.
You called all your realtor buddies.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's not good.
Exactly.
That makes me
it was
sad.
very. Yeah. It was very disappointing.
Yeah.
Right.
It was.
And it takes a toll on you, which is
like,
why you remember
it. And that's why I remember. I remember the guy's name.
Or maybe we should have started with the good story first.
I know. I was just thinking
actually, this is better because
now we'll change the mood.
I'll change the mood. There's a very famous family in Vancouver.
Yeah.
They have been living here for a very long time. So I did one of their closings.
Right.
I went to Vancouver. They live in West Side. It was my biggest deal that I've ever had.
So don't tell us the family, but what was the purchase price like?
7.5.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I told them that I'm going to charge, and there was no problem. And the person, he made roofs for me.
Wow. That's
you
cool.
know, if you know, you know, right?
Yeah.
So it was very sweet of him,
Like
and it was very humbling
small
for me,
little
for
gesture,
someone so successful,
Yeah.
Right.
coming from such a renowned family to be. So for me, that was one of those
So
things.
welcoming.
Like, you can make as much money as you want. That humility and
Yes.
humbleness.
Yeah, you can't buy that.
You
They're
can't buy that.
probably where they are just because of how they
Just
are.
because of how
Right.
they are. Yeah.
And they detach themselves from the success
Exactly.
element, and
Yeah.
they're still who they are.
Who
as
they
a
are,
person.
and their kids were like that too, so they have instilled those
That's
kind of
awesome. That's
values.
great.
So I think
Right.
that was it was very nice. I was happy when I left. I was like,
Right.
oh, that
This is
good.
cool.
I have a
it's-
few clients too. They're again very well-known people, but at the
Yeah.
same time, everyone's raised in a very good way.
Yeah.
Where like, you know, when you talk to them, you don't feel like you're talking to someone on that pedestal. Like,
Yeah,
it's a very
yeah.
normal skill,
Normal,
which
yeah,
is awesome.
setting.
I've
Yeah.
always had this mindset, and I've had this conversation with
Yeah.
Kabir as well. Sometimes,
Yeah.
like, we get excited when
Yeah.
we're like, oh, we're gonna go meet somebody whose net worth is $100 million.
Yeah.
I'm always like, okay, then what? They're still, end of the day, a human being,
People,
Human
yeah.
beings.
right?
Yeah.
So you should
yeah.
respect them, and you should
Yeah.
meet people on people level.
People
That's
level.
a good way to execute in your sales too. Because I feel
Yeah.
like when you're a little bit more, oh, I'm meeting you like that,
Yeah.
they can sense it.
Exactly.
And then you
Yeah.
can lose the impression.
Meet
Impression,
people
yeah.
for as they are, not for what they are.
What they are.
Oh my
Exactly.
lord!
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gotta
Yeah.
copyright
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah.
so when you had that Ruh Afza, were you also fasting then? Because before we started recording, we thought
So
about.
I started
yeah.
intermittent
Is
fasting.
it a lot of
more
calories?
Like last year.
Is there a lot of calories in that?
I do it too, and I've lost like.
No, I'm talking about the Ruh of the drink, brother.
Oh, Ruh
I'm
Afza,
not-
yeah,
I
it's
didn't
sugar,
finish
bro.
it.
It's all sugar, man.
I didn't finish it.
It's just
because
sugar,
I don't
right?
like rooms.
Yeah, but it was kind
but it
enough.
was real sweet.
Yeah.
And they
So now-
made other stuff, so I just nibbled on
Okay,
a few
yeah.
things. But
So fasting. So you guys both, I guess.
Yeah, we'll wrap this up after the fasting.
Yeah.
I've been doing it for about a year now. I think
Okay.
it gives me a lot more mental clarity.
yeah.
Plus, I don't
yeah.
have to worry about arguing with my wife in the morning. What's for breakfast? Because I'm not having any.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's
It helps,
two birds, one stone.
Yeah,
But no,
yeah.
generally, jokes aside,
Yeah,
it just helps
yeah.
with more mental
More
clarity
mental.
for sure.
Yeah.
Right.
No, for sure. Yeah.
I can do fasting. I remember when I was fasting at our old office.
Yeah.
So me in this case, we share one office.
Oh, okay.
When we started in 2020, we moved to the 2021 we moved to the
2020,
office.
yeah.
Okay.
Before we had our own smaller
Yeah,
rooms,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So we get this. We
It
have
was this size, probably even smaller than
smaller.
this.
It was
Oh, okay,
90,
yeah.
100 square feet.
100
We had
Oh,
this
wow.
bright idea, like
Yeah.
you put your desk there,
Yeah.
I put my desk here.
Yeah.
That'll be perfect.
Yeah.
It had a nice view and everything. It's right by the Gurdwara on 68th, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I tried fasting for a bit, and this guy would talk to me before 12,
Yeah.
and I'll be so agitated. He's like,
Yeah.
"Yo, go eat something, man.
Yeah.
I don't have the patience right now." I'm like, "Okay, fair enough."
I know.
So I can't do the fasting. I can eat less calories. Like I can be very. I'm a very strong-willed person.
Yeah.
So I can
Yeah.
maintain a diet, but I
Yeah.
can't do fasting.
Yeah, for me,
Yeah.
I enjoy food, and when I
Yeah.
came across this strategy that you can eat, not like aggressively.
It's not a
eat
strategy,
whatever.
brother. It's exactly.
It's just
But
a
you can
lifestyle
eat.
switch.
Yeah.
So I
You
still
can
eat whatever I want to eat.
Yeah.
Like my first meal is if I'm craving something,
Yeah.
I'll go have it, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I would balance in the second meal, no
Second meal.
carbs.
Yeah.
And it's been working
It's
well.
been- yeah,
and you said
yeah.
you do it too, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm in my mid 40s now, so I have to do it
Right.
because I want to be there for a long time.
Right.
But for me, I have last year was a turning point for me because I think I stopped taking care of myself.
Right.
My
It happens.
iron
We
was
all
low,
do
all
that as
stuff.
self-employed entrepreneurs.
So
we all do that.
For me now, I work out 4 to 5 days a week. I have a small gym at my house. I
Good
work
for you.
out and intermittent fasting is only 12 to 8. But
Right.
I eat my carbs now.
Good.
Right.
I have break my fast with a tuna sandwich or egg salad, and then have my protein shake, and then whatever's for dinner, I'll eat.
Right. I think we need to do another session with you where we can talk more about
Health.
because you know a lot of
Health, I don't
females
know,
struggle
yeah.
with becoming business owners just because
Yeah.
there's so many restraints, and what we discussed today,
Yeah.
Right.
that's
Yeah.
probably a bigger one that
Yeah.
they feel
Yeah.
demotivated by such
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah,
I
no,
think
thank
that
a
you
lot of
for
people will
having
take
me,
motivation out of that as well, right? So
yeah,
And that's where work-life balance.
correct.
That's all that matters.
I think once you're in
Absolutely.
it, you can maintain it. But if you don't start it, there's nothing to maintain.
there's
right?
nothing.
So
And
good
I
line
feel
too.
like
Very quotes
also
coming
it's
out today.
important to have friends.
Right.
Yeah.
Like once my kids were born, a lot of my single friends stopped hanging out with me.
Right.
They would want to go out for other things, but when it was my kid's birthday stuff, we're okay. I'm like, you know what? Either come for both or don't
Yeah.
come for everything.
Yeah.
Like I'm fun. I still like to go out.
All in or
But
nothing.
it's like you have to attend other things. You
Absolutely.
sit there and
Balance.
watch
Yeah, it
the
has to
boring
be.
stuff too.
Yeah.
Okay. So
No, that's how
I
it should
feel
be,
that's important too. So I have a good set of friends. I have you guys too,
Right.
and I have Gagan. I have few. I'm very grateful that way. So
That's
I
awesome.
think surrounding yourself
Definitely
with good
helps. Yeah.
people does
Right.
help.
Because the business we are in, I sometimes vent daily to him, like, hey, this is what happened.
Yeah.
And he does it too, right?
You-
So
Our
do
now
too.
our
You guys
offices
are the
is
same.
close to each other, right?
Yeah.
So I'll be like, yo, I'm not feeling the best today. He's like, what happened? Okay,
Yeah.
like what happened? So
Yeah.
you need that balance in
You
life.
need
yeah.
that, and what better way to talk to your siblings, right?
We
you
used to
guys
not
have
talk.
that. Oh, really?
Me and this guy didn't not talk at all for the longest time.
yeah, after Dad's passing, we were
Okay,
very
yeah.
like, we drifted apart.
Mhm.
We didn't talk to each other for like good
Like,
2-3 years.
We lived in the same house.
Yeah.
Oh,
Same,
really?
Yeah.
like his room was here, my room was here. Hello, hi, that's it.
So was it part of your grieving process in some
I guess.
ways,
There were
right?
a few other things, but
Yeah.
majority of it was like we were
Was-
very different.
We didn't like each
Different.
other as much as
Yeah, I
your
still
boys
don't.
sometimes still don't like each
Yeah,
other. But it's a lot better now.
Very good balance now.
So
Yeah.
very-
It's a lot better now.
I don't.
But
This is awesome.
yeah, thank you for
thank
your
you.
time
No,
today.
thank you so much. This was a
If
lot
people
of
want
fun.
to reach
yeah.
out to you for any advice related
604-355-7001 and I'll put you in touch with Amrita.
to what's your
Yeah, thank
website?
you.
What's your website, or where can they email you?
Yeah, you can find me www.agnotary.com, my initials, and I have an Instagram page, AG
Right.
Notary. I'm sure if you follow these guys,
Yeah,
you can
we follow you.
follow
Yes,
me
sir.
as well.
Great.
And
Thanks once
yeah,
again.
thank you so
and
much.
we'll do
Yeah.
maybe another episode another
Yeah,
time.
for sure.
Perfect.
Yeah.
But thanks for coming.
Thank you so much.
Thank
yeah.
you.